So hi everyone, my name is Niki Csányi, and no, it's very impossible to pronounce and spell as well. But I wanted to be true to myself, so I kept my last name as my Instagram handle. Sorry about that. So I'm really excited to be here tonight to talk to you about travel and share my love for it. And I hope it's gonna be contagious, and I'm sure you will leave with a lot of travel inspiration because after listening to Matt and Laura, I'm already even more inspired to travel. Oops, go back. Okay. So similarly to the other two people, I would love to start with a little bit of my personal journey before we start looking at photos and talk about trips. And the reason why is because I was not predestined to be a travel photographer, not at all. So I come from Hungary. I was born and raised there, a tiny rural town with 5,000 people. I was raised in a very, what is the right word? A family that didn't have the means necessarily to travel. My parents' concern were more about getting us to school, paying for the bills. And besides the occasional camping trip every year, maybe an hour, 2 hours away, we never really traveled. Not until I was 13 did I ever take my first trip to abroad. It was with a high school trip. We did a student exchange program to Germany, and we were hosted by a family. And that was the first time when I was like, a bomb exploded in my head. I was mind struck. I just felt like, wow, the world is so big and I never really seen any of it. And how is this possible? There are these peoples with different lives, and they live in this house that looks so different from my house, and they drive a different car and eat all this food. So I think that was the point where I felt like it was a catalyst for me to seek travel. So from then on, I did everything in my power to travel more. At university, I did a student exchange program. I studied in Germany for a year. Then in the summers, I joined this work and travel program to the US, where I would come to the US, work all summer, slave. But then at the end of the summer, I saved up enough money to travel around. So we went to Grand Canyon and San Francisco, and it was like just a wonderful experience to see how other people live and soak in all these amazing things that I've never seen before. So the good people at This Is Grand asked us to either share our favorite trips or share some travel tips with you guys. Well, there's no way I could share favorite trips because every trip is sort of a favorite. So instead, I thought I would give you guys some tips or some insights that I learned over the years that were important to me travel-wise. And before I get into that, so after school, I started working at a 9-to-5 job. I work in investment banking. I think most of you guys work in a 9-to-5. So before, the problem was I had time in school, but I didn't have money. And then now when I started working, I had all the time. I had the money, but I didn't have the time. So it's kind of like a paradox, like what do you do? And I hear a lot of people tell me, oh, I wish I was a travel photographer like you, that I could spend all the time traveling around and taking pictures. But to be honest, that wasn't the case for me until the last 1.5 years. I worked in a 9-to-5, I saved all my vacation days, and I just spent it on traveling. So I would say if you want to travel, just get out. It's possible. You need to plan a little bit, but I think it's one of the most rewarding things in life. So one of the first things I want to tell you or suggest is that, yes, you should go global, but also never forget local. I think most people think about travel as going to exotic places and traveling for 2 weeks around the globe or something like that. But that's not true. You can take trips an hour, 2 hours away on a weekend, after work, that will fulfill you and you feel like you're exploring something new. For example, one of my favorite places, 2 hours drive away, is Palm Springs. I love the desert, I love the light. You go and you explore, the places. For example, this is a hotel that was built in a Moroccan style, and you feel like you're in a different world. Instead of going on your regular vacation where you sit in the pool and just drink cocktails, yeah, that's fun. But maybe you can, one of the days, walk or rent a bike and just bike around. I love the modern architecture in Palm Springs. So I think There's so many places, especially that we live in California, that you can explore, and it will feel like traveling if you make the effort of not just staying at one place, but exploring around. For example, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, we went to Algodones sand dunes. I don't know how many people have heard about it. It's 3 hours away. It's near the Mexican border, and you feel like you are in the Sahara. You guys have no idea. This place is like sand dunes for miles. And then part of it is sand dunes that people cannot drive on, so you can walk in. It's pristine, beautiful sand. And then the other side feels like you are right in a Mad Max movie. People have these really cool buggies and ATVs and drive around in the sand dunes. So, you know, you just need to make the effort and do a little bit of research, and you can find fantastic places. The next tip I would maybe suggest is when you travel, don't necessarily just go to the sites that most people go to, or go to them because, you know, they are sites for a reason. You want to see them, they are beautiful. But maybe instead of going right there and taking the subway right there or taking the cab, walk. Like, when I go traveling, I probably clock in 10 miles a day. I walk so much, or ride a bike, is because you find these places that otherwise you wouldn't see. You see sites in a different manner. This is Hungary, my home country, the parliament. You know, I would spend hours walking around or getting into places where you're maybe not supposed to go. So I kind of love walking into alleyways. I love getting into apartment buildings. This is a staircase in Paris in a ballet school. You can just walk right in. You never know what's inside. And then, you know, you're presented with something special that you don't see normally, and it's not the side that you've seen in a travel magazine. Or in Paris, you know, yes, you can go to the Eiffel Tower and you can stand there, or you can walk around the neighborhood and then just get a different feel and view of these places. This is at Montmartre. Like, most people take the picture of the church itself, but then you can find these really cool views and just, you know, explore. One of my best friends, and hopefully will be yours too, is called Google Maps. A few years ago, I discovered that you can save places. So whenever you find something or you see something on Instagram, I would always go and like Google Map it and then save it. So it puts a little star there. Like, now the whole world looks like a giant star. But honestly, it's a great way because, for example, I see something on Matt's feed that I love. Like from Iceland. And then I'm probably not going to go Iceland for another year or two, but if I save it, when the time comes that it's time to go to Iceland, I have all these places that I know I want to see. So that's a really cool thing. This is another, you know, site that normally people go to Griffith Observatory to take the view of LA, but you can, you know, look at it in a little different angle and just get a different experience. The biggest and one of my favorite tips is get up for sunrise. Now, I'm a terrible morning person. I honestly, I'm terrible. If someone didn't wake me up in the morning, I would probably be sleeping till 10. But when I'm traveling, I always make sure that 1 or 2 days on a trip, I would wake up for sunrise, because you just get a completely different vibe of a place. It's all yours. It's all yours to take in. You know, when it's morning, people are usually not outside. And I've got so many beautiful photos by just waking up for sunrise. Like this one, this was a trip to China, and we were going to some hot springs. Like, these are outdoor hot springs, and it was winter time. So we got there late afternoon, and it was beautiful. You know, in the evening it was beautiful too, but I decided that I wanted to get a shot without any people. So I woke up for sunrise, and it was just wonderful. This frost covered the trees, and you know, the water was steaming, and then we got this beautiful, and this is not like photoshopped. So this pink sky is actually real. It was just fantastic, and it was just mine for the taking. It felt like it was an intimate moment, and I love that about sunrise. This was another sunrise in Grand Teton National Park, and you get the photographers, but not really the tourists, so that's also a very nice part of getting up for sunrise. This was one of my favorite trips to Bolivia. It's called Salar de Uyuni, which is the largest salt flats in the world. It's so big that they calibrate the satellites there, all the satellites in the world. And you know, just the colors, the vastness, and the fact that you're alone and you have time to kind of reflect and take in the place is a beautiful thing. Then, lastly but not least, I would like to suggest to travel in all seasons. Most people think that summer is for travel. They're very wrong. I think you see very beautiful and very special places when you travel in the fall, the spring, and the winter, because you get a different vibe. And also, not to mention the fact that places are not crowded. Plane tickets are a lot cheaper, hotels are a lot cheaper. For example, I think Grand Teton is really beautiful in the fall. You get these amazing orange colors, not as many tourists as you would get in the summer or the winter time. This is Yellowstone. Again, I wouldn't have gotten that beautiful orange grass if I've been there in the summertime, and probably a lot more kids and parents and minivans. Springtime in New York City. Please don't go there in the summer. It's muggy, it's hot, tourists are everywhere. But go in the spring or go in the fall. The colors are beautiful, and honestly, you get such a different vibe from New York. And then this is again China. This photo can go back to my previous tip, is get up for sunrise. So we got here in the afternoon, and I got some nice photos, but I wasn't completely happy with it. So next morning I got up around 5, and I ran out there I just made it before the sun came up, and this mist was floating above the lake, and the sun colored it, and it was just such a magical moment. Again, I think this place speaks to the fact that it was so much more wonderful, or so much more intimate in the winter time than the summer, that it makes you want to travel more in other seasons. And then weather-wise, I think everyone or most of us get discouraged when it's raining or it's stormy, because we all want beautiful sunny skies when we're traveling. But I think you should appreciate every kind of weather because it gives you a different mood. This photo I think is so much better because of the storm. It's from Rhode Island, than in a beautiful sunny day when there are no clouds. And I think I have a few more. Yes, okay. So this one was in Austria. When we got there, everything was covered in fog, and I was like so upset. My mom was there with me because we went on a family trip. I took them to Austria, and I was like really upset. I was like, I can't believe this. I came here for this beautiful, it's like a glacier lake, so the water is always turquoise blue, and we couldn't see any of it. And we were sitting there for 20, 30 minutes when the clouds just split, and then I got this beautiful foggy, misty view that I really appreciated because, you know, it wasn't something that I've ever seen before. This is Yellowstone. Again, we were in the fall, didn't expect any snow, and how much more special is this photo because of the snow, because it just started off when we were walking around and this bison came along. So I would just say don't be afraid to get out. When the weather is not right, when you think like, oh, it's raining and I just want to stay in, or it's snowing, I just want to be inside, that's even more reason to go outside and enjoy it. Again, another time when we felt like, okay, this is snowing, we should just take it easy, not go outside for breakfast, let's have breakfast in the hotel. And then I insisted that we go out because I didn't want to eat in the hotel. And we got this awesome shot I was really happy about. I think that's it. And I think what I would love to leave with you guys with is that I always tell everybody that travel is so wonderful because these experiences, these memories are something that no one will ever take away from you. Like, these will last your lifetime. And we live in a very material world, where, you know, iPhones and, I don't know, fashion brands matter, and we all want to have these beautiful things. But I much rather personally spend on traveling, because I know that memory will last me a lifetime, and I will look back in 10, 20 years, and I will say, I will remember those moments, rather than will I remember that I had an iPhone 4? Probably not. So travel is obtainable. You know, just because we're lucky enough to be travel or photographers, it doesn't mean that that's the only reason why we travel. We travel because it enriches us and it fulfills us, and you guys can do it as well.